Spurs 0, Arsenal 1, and that's it. 3 points to Arsenal yet again. 3 games won on the bounce at Spurs' ground. And all you can say is, Mikel Arteta is not the manager that Arsenal fans want. Well, what a game that was. If you're new to the show, I'm Ty Knight here for TK24 Sports. Let's get into it. So Arsenal won, taking all 3 points back to North London, even though the game was played in North London. But this game wasn't the best of games in football in terms, but it was a feisty affair. Loads of yellow cards in the first half, a few more in the second half. There were chances in the first half for both teams. Martinelli had the clearest of chances on a great one-on-one, but he just hit the ball pretty much straight at Vicario. But one thing I can say is this: Arsenal somehow dug in, won the game. Gabriel's brilliant header in the second half from a Bukayo Saka's corner was all but done. But in the midst of it all, what do we really and truly make of this game? It was, even though I said it wasn't the best of games, it was a good game in terms of roughness, toughness from both teams. Both teams was not given an edge in this game, and credit to both teams on that matter. But I will say Arsenal didn't look out of sorts in any case. They had no Martin Odegaard, as we know. They had no Declan Rice, who was suspended for this game. But somehow, some way, Arsenal got through it. With the midfield of a Jorginho and a Thomas Partey, I'm thinking those legs are gone. But really, they dug deep. They really dug deep. Jorginho had a bit of cramp towards the end of the game, and I was thinking, oh gosh, what's going to happen now? Then Saka got injured, and then he had to come off, and then when Neri came on, but by that time, Martinelli came off, and so did Trossard. So that left no one else to come on. And this is where Arsenal are going to struggle this season, because the depth in the squad, especially on the front line, is very thin. But you have Manchester City up next Sunday. What does that mean for Arsenal? What is it going to do for their preparations for that game? And what does it mean then going into January? Should they have to reinforce again? I think the answer to that is yes. But back to the game on Spurs' side. They wasn't really threatening. They wasn't at all whatsoever. They had Solanke up front. Didn't do too much. He had a great header in the first half, which looked like it was going in. It was just inches wide. Son tried his best today. Maddison was pretty much absent. He didn't cause any problems at all whatsoever. Bentancur, Kuvasilevsky, wherever it is, can't pronounce his name properly, wasn't really anything, especially in the midfield. So their midfield was quite light. No Basuma, because he was injured. Van der Ven, he was pretty good today. He was pretty good. Romero, pretty good, but he just got out-muscled for the goal against Gabriel, and there was a little bit of a push there from Gabriel. It could have been blown up, and if it was blown up, you wouldn't really argue too much, but it was a soft little push. It was the softest little touch in the back of Romero. He goes flying, and Gabriel heads it in. So, bang, 1-0, Arsenal won the game. But overall, Arsenal deserved the 3 points. They truly deserved the 3 points. They hustled, they bustled, and the only thing about Arsenal for this game, there wasn't any creativity because there's no Martin Odegaard. But I'll tell you this now, Arsenal looked different, and what was good about it, the 4-2-3-1 formation, totally outfoxed Spurs in this game, because they're so used to the way that Arsenal play. Arsenal fans are so used to the way that Arsenal play, and neutral fans are so used to the way that Arsenal play, and this was just a different game. Much more slow tempo, and Liverpool could take note of this. This is what you have to do to win games. You can play a different tempo, and Arsenal showed that today. They showed different determination, and Spurs, really and truly, it's going to be a tough fight for them, not just for this season, but for going forward if they can't figure out anything else to how to score a goal. Now, don't get me wrong, Solanke, no, he looked okay. He looked okay. He's going to be a handful. He did have a good chance in the first half where it fell to him, but he took one too many chances. And then who comes along? Of course, Saliba comes along, gets Arsenal out of trouble. But apart from that, Spurs didn't really and truly create too many chances going forward. So sorry. But neither did Arsenal. Arsenal didn't really create one too many chances. One of the bright sparks again was seeing Sterling come on the pitch, but it was more of a cameo more than anything else. 12 minutes to go in that game, so you couldn't really and truly see what he could provide. But when they play Manchester City next week, I would expect Sterling to start. And if Saka's not too injured, then of course he's going to start. Declan Rice is going to be back, and then of course Martin Odegaard's still going to be out for that game. So what do Arsenal do when they go up to the Etihad? Who knows? Again, remains to be seen. But with Rice back in, it's going to give Arsenal that added boost. Jurgen Timber at left back was pretty decent. He could have been sent off in any other day. That could have been a red card. They're always comparing that to the Curtis Jones incident last season. Same sort of challenge, and Curtis Jones got sent off, but then Julian Timber didn't get sent off, even though it went to VAR to look at it after the yellow card was dished out. And they said, okay, it wasn't that bad. But then from that tackle and then the aftermath after that, there was a little handbags thrown. Vicario rushes out, squares up to Timber, and Timber just draps him up. He grabbed him. And that, in that case, that could have been a second yellow card. But instead, Vicario got yellow carded. So that was a bit of a surprise. The only thing I would say is too many cards were shown. But then again, I guess that's the referee laying down the law and telling everyone, you keep on messing about, you could be getting sent off in this game. And I thought going into the second half, there was going to be a sending off. What else can I say about Spurs in this game, apart from they just need to have a clinical side to them? They're not bad looking, but their defense is a bit of a worry. More or less, the goalkeeper. He's a bit of a flapper when it comes to crosses, when it comes to corners. He doesn't command his box very well, and that's where Arsenal capitalised. And the first time they put that ball properly in that 6-yard box by Saka, bang, goal, Gabriel. He's the most underrated defender I think it's in the world, and again in the Premier League. People just don't rate him, but yeah, he's the one who scores the most goals in the Premier League. And then since he's actually started on his debut, he has scored the most, which I think is like 15, 16 goals. So that tells you everything about Arsenal from the back. They got Saliba, who can defend everything, and then they got Gabriel, who can score pretty much anything as well. That's just how good Arsenal were. Mikel Arteta got the tactics right today because that's all he had at his disposal when it comes to personnel and what was available to him. Somehow, some way, he managed to get it right, get that team out there, get the 3 points, head back home, and now focus on Thursday against, I believe it's Thursday, against Atalanta away. Then they go to Manchester City. These 3 big games are going to be a telling part of the season. But the 3 points, only 2 now behind Manchester City, Arsenal victorious. And can you believe it? Since in 2024, they've scored 31 goals and only letting 3 away from home. Let that sink into your brains right now. In 2024, away from home, 31 goals scored and only conceded 3. That's just how far Arsenal have come. But yet people are still saying Mikel Arteta is not the one. And this is why he got his 3-year contract extension, because he's able to pull out performances like this. First manager in years, right? So I think it was 1988 that Arsenal have won 3 games in a row away from home to the arch rivals Spurs. Even under Arsene Wenger, that was never to be seen. So credit to Mikel Arteta and the coaching staff, and yet again another goal from the set piece was all but the difference. But what's your thoughts on the game? Who was your standout man of the match? Who did you think? What do you think of Trossard's performance? What do you think of Kai Havertz? What did you think of Martinelli, who should have scored? What did you think of Jurgen Timber? What do you think of David Raya, Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Saka? What were your thoughts on that? And a little cameo from Jesus, and a little cameo from Waneri, a little cameo from Raheem Sterling. What was your thoughts? Who was your man of the match? They gave it to Gabriel, but who was your man of the match of this game? And what was your thoughts of the game as a whole? And then what do you think we're going to do against Atalanta? What do you think we're going to do against Manchester City next week? 3 big away games, 1 down, chalked 1 off, 3 points, 2 now behind Manchester City, and long road ahead for the Gunners. So that's right. I'm tying out here for TK24 Sports. Just a quick update about the game. More shows will come, of course, following on from this one for the week coming up. And of course, a big lead up to the Champions League game. Thanks for watching. Hope you turn back in again soon. Like, subscribe, turn that notification on. I'm out of here. Goodbye.